Italy's chemical castration policy, a bold step or ethical dilemma. Imagine a world where justice for survivors of sexual violence isn't just about punishment, but prevention. This is the reality Italy is shaping by allowing chemical castration for rapists and pedophiles. But does this policy protect victims, or risk crossing moral and ethical boundaries? Chemical castration involves administering hormone-blocking drugs to reduce sexual urges in convicted offenders. Advocates see it as a deterrent, a means to prevent reoffending. Yet, critics argue it dehumanizes offenders, raising troubling concerns about consent, bodily autonomy, and human rights. Where should we draw the line? For survivors, justice often feels elusive. Too frequently, perpetrators reoffend, perpetuating cycles of harm. Policies like this are driven, in part, by the goal of protecting victims and potential future targets. Reducing recidivism may offer survivors a sense of safety and closure. But is chemical castration enough? Implementing this measure doesn't address the psychological harm done to victims or the root causes driving such crimes. Shouldn't policy discussions focus equally on survivor healing and societal prevention? Supporters of chemical castration emphasize that it's voluntary, requiring the offender's consent. They argue this mitigates ethical concerns while serving a greater good, preventing future crimes. But is consent truly voluntary when it's tied to reduced sentences or parole eligibility? This measure also raises broader questions. Does altering an offender's body truly solve the societal issue of sexual violence? Or is it a band-aid over deeper systemic problems like inadequate education, prevention, and mental health support? Italy isn't the first to adopt chemical castration. Several countries, including the Czech Republic, Poland, and South Korea, already use it under specific circumstances. Evidence shows some success in reducing reoffending rates, but the data remains inconclusive on its long-term effectiveness. Meanwhile, ethical debates follow these policies everywhere they're implemented. Critics caution against normalizing state control over an individual's body, warning it could create slippery slopes for other invasive punishments. Are we prepared for the societal consequences of such precedents? At its core, this policy forces us to confront a larger question. How far should societies go in the name of justice? For some, the ends, safeguarding victims and preventing harm, justify the means. For others, the ethical cost is too high, undermining values that should underpin justice systems. As victim advocates, this debate is critical. Balancing the undeniable need for survivor protection with our shared responsibility for ethical justice demands careful, nuanced analysis. What path can policymakers carve that respects both human rights and public safety? This is not just Italy's issue, it's a global conversation. To truly combat sexual violence, we must advocate for survivor-centered policies that address root causes while honoring human rights. Join this dialogue, amplify survivor voices, and urge lawmakers to create solutions that heal, protect, and promote justice. Let's shape a better future together.